to me, I hate to say this, but girl code is I'm not supposed to say this, but I'm gonna say it. It was okay when you felt like you were getting information.
It was okay.
And then for you to think that I would give him information, that's not girl code. So there was never that exchange because, again, he's a man. I'm not gonna sit on the phone with a woman that I know is cheating with my man. I'm just not gonna do that. Watching them interact, watching them have conversations is like watching her teach this woman how she wants them to operate. And I said that to her. I just really can't sit in a room with someone that will lie to my face.
Something is shifting around Destiny Payton right now, and this time the silence is gone. For months, fans of Love Marriage Huntsville watched the tension build little by little. Strange looks, awkward conversations, friendships that suddenly felt cold. And at the center of it all sat Destiny, trying to hold herself together while people she once trusted slowly drifted further away. But what nobody expected was for her to finally reach her breaking point publicly. Because Destiny didn't just throw shade this time, she sent a warning, a serious one. And the message hit directly at Tisha and Martell Holt. Fans immediately knew this wasn't regular reality TV drama. This wasn't a vague post or a petty little comment hidden inside an interview. No, Destiny sounded tired, hurt, angry, like someone who had spent way too long protecting people who never protected her back. And when a woman reaches that point, things can get dangerous fast. Because now viewers are asking one huge question: what exactly does Destiny know? And honestly, that question alone has the entire fan base nervous. The wild part is Destiny Payton didn't start out as someone constantly surrounded by drama. Long before the cameras focused on her personal life, she was known as someone who valued loyalty deeply. She believed in friendship. She believed in showing up for people. She believed relationships were supposed to mean something even when life got messy. That's why so many people connected with her in the beginning.
Listen, this show means a lot to Melissa in a very different way of what it means to Teresa. I think, to your point, listen, I think anybody who watches the show can see that Melissa wants to be the top dog, and she has trouble with Teresa constantly winning in the end. And this, I'm gonna tell you, it was the season where Danielle Staub, one of my favorites of all time.
Yes,
it was the season where Danielle Staub, unfortunately, Melissa, like, Teresa told me to pull the hair. What I saw was this excitement of Melissa getting the tea. Like, well, she did what? And I think of Melissa's mind, she was like, oh baby, it's going down.
When Destiny first appeared on Love Marriage Huntsville, viewers saw a woman trying to rebuild her life after heartbreak. Her marriage had fallen apart publicly, and instead of getting privacy to heal, she had to process that pain in front of cameras, cast members, bloggers, and thousands of strangers online. Every conversation about her divorce became public discussion. Every emotional moment turned into content for the internet. And through all of that, Destiny still tried to keep her dignity intact. That's what made her relationships with Tisha and Martell feel important. These weren't random cast connections. There was history there, real history. Destiny and Martell had known each other for years. Back when Martell was facing backlash over his own marriage scandals, Destiny was one of the few people who still showed him grace publicly. She defended him when others were dragging him online. She listened when things got ugly. She treated him like family. And with Tisha, the bond looked genuine too. Fans watched them laugh together, support each other, and speak like women who truly understood the pressure of balancing friendship, motherhood, business, and reality television all at once. But reality TV has a strange way of exposing cracks people try hard to hide. At first, the changes were subtle. Conversations started feeling forced. energy shifted in group settings. Destiny slowly began looking isolated during moments where she once looked comfortable. Fans noticed it before the cast admitted it. There were scenes where Destiny seemed emotionally exhausted while everyone around her acted like nothing was wrong. And that's usually how betrayal begins.
What was asked of me was valid. Except for, I felt a little way about you got a pillow next to you, because I am a friend of the show. And it wasn't, in my mind, necessary for me to have my relationship on the state, because my current situation is not a part of the show, or was not a part of the show at the time. So, I get it.
Not loudly, quietly. One unanswered call, one awkward interaction, one conversation that suddenly feels different, until eventually you realize the people around you are treating you like an outsider without ever saying it directly. That's exactly what seemed to happen to Destiny. As time passed, rumors started circulating online that friendships behind the scenes were falling apart badly. Some fans believed Destiny had become the easy target of the group. Others believed alliances had changed and she simply got left behind. But what hurt the most was watching someone who once defended everybody else suddenly stand alone. And according to Destiny, that isolation wasn't accidental. But here's where things really started exploding. Destiny recently began dropping small but powerful comments online and during interviews that completely changed the conversation. She hinted that she had stayed quiet for far too long. She suggested she knew private information that could damage people's images if she ever decided to reveal it. And without directly saying every detail, she made it painfully obvious that her frustration was aimed at Tisha and Martell. Fans immediately froze, because Destiny isn't known for reckless outbursts. She usually chooses silence. So when somebody like her suddenly starts warning people publicly, viewers know something serious must have happened behind closed doors. Not loudly, quietly.
How y'all doing this morning?
Better than you.
I am here at...
What's that? What is that?
The Madison County Courthouse. About to turn myself in. And look who's always with me. My dad.
Okay.
My rider. Always. I hate this for him more than anything.
Me too.
Thing through it all is I've learned that I'm one of God's strongest soldiers.
One unanswered call, one awkward interaction, one conversation that suddenly feels different, until eventually you realize the people around you are treating you like an outsider without ever saying it directly. That's exactly what seemed to happen to Destiny. As time passed, rumors started circulating online that friendships behind the scenes were falling apart badly. Some fans believed Destiny had become the easy target of the group. Others believed alliances had changed and she simply got left behind. But what hurt the most was watching someone who once defended everybody else suddenly stand alone. And according to Destiny, that isolation wasn't accidental. But here's where things really started exploding. Destiny recently began dropping small but powerful comments online and during interviews that completely changed the conversation. She hinted that she had stayed quiet for far too long. She suggested she knew private information that could damage people's images if she ever decided to reveal it. And without directly saying every detail, she made it painfully obvious that her frustration was aimed at Tisha and Martell. Fans immediately froze, because Destiny isn't known for reckless outbursts. She usually chooses silence. So when somebody like her suddenly starts warning people publicly, viewers know something serious must have happened behind closed doors. One statement especially sent social media into chaos. Destiny basically made it clear that she was tired of protecting people who had no problem letting her get the blame for situations she didn't create. And that sentence hit hard because fans instantly started replaying old episodes differently. People began wondering if Destiny had been covering for people this entire time. Had she kept secrets to protect friendships? Had she stayed silent while others controlled the narrative? And most importantly, what pushed her this far? What nobody expected was how emotional her tone sounded. This wasn't just anger, it sounded personal, deeply personal, like somebody finally realizing the loyalty they gave was never truly returned. And when Destiny hinted that she had receipts, the internet lost its mind, because reality TV fans know exactly what that word means. Messages, phone calls, conversations, proof. Suddenly, viewers started speculating about everything. They questioned whether Tisha had privately distanced herself from Destiny long before cameras showed it. They questioned whether Martell had manipulated situations behind the scenes. Old interviews started resurfacing. Old scenes got dissected online frame by frame. Every smile suddenly looked suspicious. Every conversation looked loaded. And Destiny? She stayed calm while the chaos exploded around her. That calmness actually made the warning feel even scarier, because she wasn't screaming, she wasn't ranting emotionally for attention.
She sounded like somebody who already knows the truth and has simply reached the point where she no longer cares about protecting anyone involved. And honestly, that changes everything. One thing fans can't stop talking about is how differently Destiny has been moving lately. There's a noticeable distance now. The woman who once tried to smooth conflicts over seems emotionally done. And when people are emotionally done, they stop protecting feelings. That's the dangerous stage. You can tell Destiny has been carrying hurt for a long time. Some of it clearly comes from feeling unsupported during her divorce. Some of it comes from public criticism, but a huge part of it seems connected to friendships she thought were real. That's what makes this drama feel heavier than ordinary reality TV gossip. It's not just about cast tension, it's about emotional betrayal. Viewers saw Destiny defend people repeatedly. They saw her remain quiet during situations where she could have exposed others. They saw her try to avoid unnecessary public mess. So now that she's finally speaking carefully but firmly, fans believe there's probably much more happening behind the scenes than anybody realized. And here's the twist nobody saw coming. The more Destiny talks, the quieter Tisha and Martell seem to become. That silence is making fans even more suspicious, because if Destiny were simply being dramatic, people expected immediate denial or pushback. Instead, there's this uncomfortable tension hanging over everything. And in the world of reality television, silence sometimes says more than words ever could. Social media has become a battlefield over it. Some fans believe Destiny has every right to finally defend herself after years of feeling isolated and misunderstood. Others think everybody involved shares blame for the fallout, but nearly everyone agrees on one thing: something major happened behind the scenes, and Destiny looks dangerously close to revealing it. One emotional part of this situation that people keep overlooking is how exhausting it must be living under constant public judgment while privately dealing with broken relationships. Imagine feeling abandoned by people you considered family, then having to smile through scenes together while millions of viewers analyze your every reaction. That pressure changes people, and you can almost see that transformation happening in Destiny in real time. There's less softness now, less patience, less willingness to stay quiet for the sake of peace.
Instead, there's frustration mixed with disappointment, the kind that comes from realizing loyalty was one-sided. What makes this even sadder is that Destiny never really came across as someone desperate for attention. If anything, she often looked emotionally drained by the drama surrounding her. That's why her recent warnings feel so serious. People can sense this isn't performative outrage. It feels like years of bottled-up emotion finally leaking out. And if she truly decides to expose everything she's hinting at, the fallout could be huge. Because friendships on Love and Marriage Huntsville have already been hanging by threads for a while. Trust issues have been building season after season, but Destiny's warning introduced something much darker into the situation: fear. Fear that private conversations may become public. Fear that secrets people buried years ago may resurface. Fear that alliances fans believed were solid were actually fake the entire time. And honestly, viewers can feel the tension growing stronger every single day. What's heartbreaking is that underneath all the drama, this really seems to come down to someone wanting honesty and loyalty from people she loved. That's why the situation feels so emotional. Most people watching have experienced some version of this in real life, giving everything to friendships only to realize you were the only one truly invested, staying silent to protect people who would never protect you the same way. That kind of pain cuts deep, especially when it happens publicly. For Destiny, the emotional damage appears bigger than social media arguments or reality TV feuds. It looks like disappointment shattered something inside her. You can hear it in the way she talks now. There's caution in her voice, like somebody who learned the hard way that trust can disappear overnight. And sadly, public betrayal hits differently because there's nowhere to hide from it. Every awkward scene gets replayed online. Every friendship breakdown becomes entertainment for strangers. Every emotional moment gets picked apart by bloggers and fans. That pressure can destroy people emotionally if they're not careful. Some viewers even believe Destiny's warning wasn't just directed at Tisha and Martell. They think it was also her way of reclaiming her voice after years of being painted as the problem. Because when narratives get repeated long enough, people start believing them even if they aren't fully true. Maybe Destiny finally got tired of that. Maybe she got tired of being the quiet one while everybody else controlled the story. And honestly, if that's true, her warning makes much more sense. Because sometimes silence isn't weakness. Sometimes silence is restraint. And once restraint disappears, everything changes. Now fans are waiting nervously to see what happens next. Will Destiny finally expose the conversations she's been hinting about? Will old friendships completely collapse beyond repair? Will Tisha and Martell respond directly? Or will everybody continue pretending nothing serious happened, while tension keeps growing underneath the surface? That uncertainty is exactly why the situation has people so invested right now, because it no longer feels like ordinary reality TV conflict. It feels personal, it feels unresolved, and it feels like the calm before a major storm. At the end of the day, the saddest part about all of this is how familiar the situation feels. So many friendships fall apart not because of one huge betrayal, but because of small disappointments that pile up over time. A lack of support, a lack of honesty, a lack of loyalty, until eventually one person realizes they've been carrying the relationship alone. And maybe that's where Destiny is now. Tired, hurt, done protecting people who made her feel disposable. But what makes this story so powerful is that Destiny still hasn't fully exposed anybody. Even after all the tension, all the rumors, all the emotional pain, she's still holding something back. And that tells viewers one important thing. There's probably much more to this story than we know. Because if Destiny truly wanted destruction, she could have already gone scorched earth online. She could have named names directly. She could have dropped receipts immediately. But instead, she chose something colder, a warning. And sometimes a warning is scarier than the actual truth, because it leaves everybody wondering what's coming next. And deep down, Tisha and Martell probably know that too.